This year, the legislature decided it was time to look at firearm safety and make sure that we delicately balance Washingtonians' constitutional rights to possess firearms with our need to ensure that our communities, our friends, and our neighbors are safe. We started in by bringing in a very eclectic group of stakeholders: education advocates, advocates just representing working families, advocates representing our mental health community, law enforcement, both the sheriffs and police chiefs, but also our line officers, and wanted to hear the perspectives out there. We had prosecutors at the table, judges, and our goal being to identify of the myriad of ideas out there to try to address gun violence and firearm safety. Which ideas are we going to be able to get broad community support to enact, but more importantly, which ideas aren't just political messages, but are actually going to result in a reduction in gun violence and better safety in our communities. Despite the broad support we've been able to pull together on a list of bills that we have filed in this session, it is going to be difficult to move the bills through the state Senate. It's controlled by a Republican coalition that views any bill that deals with the subject matter of firearms as a direct attack and affront on their constituents' constitutional rights. What's sometimes missed from that narrative is that Democrats equally care about those constitutional rights. Many of my colleagues in my caucus are gun owners, they're avid huntsmen, they recreate, they target shoot. Many of them carry weapons for personal defense as well, or the defense of their families. Those are rights we want to protect. But we currently have laws on the books, and some of those laws are not being enforced. That's what our package is intended to do, to enforce current laws on the books and make sure that our communities are in fact safe, and where we can, to reduce gun violence in Washington State. So the Senate Democrats have pulled together a package of 6 bills. 4 of those bills really indirectly relate to firearm safety by putting more resources and a greater attention on some folks in our community that suffer from various forms of mental illness. We know that if untreated and without the resources that they themselves and their families need, a lot of these people are not going to be able to thrive, and in many cases are a danger to themselves or to others. So we have to keep our promise to fund and provide adequate resources to ensure that our mental health populations have the tools that they need to succeed and live safe and productive lives. 2 of the bills do directly relate to firearms. One adds a new definition to our reckless endangerment statute, asking that gun owners responsibly care for their guns if children have access to them or could reasonably gain access to them. It defines reckless endangerment as a gross misdemeanor if an adult knows or should know that a child may access the weapon, and a child 12 years or younger does gain access to that weapon. The goal here is to ensure that, as most gun owners indicate, that they're responsibly storing those items when they're not in use. Kept in a locked safe, a locked box, even a trigger lock attached out in the open would be sufficient to defend if a child did in fact gain access to a weapon and hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. In my district, we had a tragedy where a sibling shot and killed another sibling. It was obviously a total accident, a terrible ordeal, not only for the sibling, but for the family and for the friends that knew that child. And sometimes that's punishment enough, but we need to make sure that we have tools available to our prosecutors to try to deter that behavior in the first place. The second bill has to do with background checks. Currently, there are many people in Washington State who've committed felonies, in particular violent felonies, who have lost their privilege and right to carry a firearm. Unfortunately, our current system doesn't allow us to identify those people before they go out and, through a business transaction, legitimately purchase and acquire a gun, despite the fact that they're legally prohibited from doing so. So I don't think we have much option here. That's a loophole that needs to be closed so that all of our friends and neighbors know that folks out there who've lost their privilege and right to carry a firearm are in fact identified, and that prohibition is enforced. Both bills, the bill related to child access and the bill related to background checks, have bipartisan support, Democrats and Republicans. But again, these are going to be tough bills to move in this session because of the predilection that some have towards anything having to do with firearm safety.